Welcome to Infinite Conversations. It's Infinity once again bringing to you a very, very special guest. He's been in the underground for a hot minute. He's done a variety of things, whether it's from the hardcore and metal genres and all the way to production. And being the talented rapper that he is in the underground, he's the beast from the Northeast, the one and only Massachusetts Massacre Master, Tundramane. What the fuck's going on?
What is up? What's going on? I love that introduction. That was cool shit.
Appreciate it, man. I've been told by a majority of people that that the introduction is what seals the deal.
Hell yeah.
So yeah. Oh, life's good. I'm here in Tennessee, in East Tennessee, actually, deep in the mountains. It's getting cold. I'm sure it's wonderful where you're at. Has it started snowing yet?
No, we usually end up getting snow probably sometimes like December, but it really doesn't start till like January, February.
Okay.
And it's like sometimes we'll get like a nor'easter, it kicks in like a ton of snow, but otherwise it just ices over. It just turns into ice and it like looks like ass for a few months. But to be honest, I love the winter because it's just less people, more time to think, more time to focus.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a lot of people will say that the seasonal affective disorders kick in the wintertime, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But that tends to happen only for those of us born in the summer months.
Yeah,
you
I
know.
agree. I
So
was born in January, so that makes sense.
and so yours usually comes end of spring, probably summer is when things tend to get rough, but that's the thing for all of us, it's just part of it.
Yep.
Uh, but yeah, so what has been up with you lately? You've been busy. I mean, you just had the Gold Play video and single drop. You've had Blowback drop with the man and the myth from good old Greece himself, you know?
Yeah, my brother. Um, things have been, like I said, we were talking about a little bit, was that it's just been ups and downs for like the past couple of years. I mean, especially with COVID. Um, I took a long pause. Back in like 2018, I really started like slowing down. I had like a big bout of drinking in my 20s, and
Oh yeah. I've been there.
totally it caught up with me. I got real bad with it. I was in a bad way, and all my, a lot of my music I was making at the time was very, you know, sad, and I had a lot of like angsty lyrics and stuff because I was pretty depressed.
Yeah.
Coming out of it, I kind of had to like rebuild myself. I had to kind of figure out like where I stood. And those couple of years, I mean, a lot of people were probably wondering where the hell I went for 2 years. I just kind of stopped uploading. And that's what it was. I was rebuilding. I was kind of trying, like, changing my mind frame. And I'd say this past summer, my brother Slug, he was like, dude, you got to get back on it. You got to pick yourself up. You got to go ahead and, he started kind of showing me how it works these days. Because before, all I'd do is I'd make a song in like a day, and I'd put it on SoundCloud, and I'd be like, okay, my job's done. And then I'd like, go off and do random bullshit. And then like a week later, I'd make another song. I just kind of had no plan.
Yeah, no structure.
Exactly. It was just winging it. And it worked for a while. But, in this day and age, especially how easy it is to get your music on all platforms now, I was really behind. So I was kind of just sitting there like,
Oh yeah.
well, then what the hell am I supposed to do now? But he's
Yeah.
been a great help. And, besides that, I pretty much just I put my head down, I sit at my desk and bash out a bunch of beats, and then I'll find one. I'm like, okay, yeah, this one's definitely something I want to rap on, and then all the other ones I scrap, and then I just focus on that one. So it's just been a consistent roll, and
Yeah.
I'm on the smooth track now, and I'm loving it. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's part of it, like I mean, those of you who don't know, Mr. Tundramane used to go by a different moniker, Heavy Sins.
I did.
And the evolution is there, you know what I mean, in what he's been doing. And from then until now, the game has changed. It's not just a post and go formula anymore. It's so saturated with people that, like, it does require, besides the making and creating part, you really have to have the structure and, like, business knowledge to, like, not get lost in the mix, because there are so many people doing it. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, and it's, and there are a lot of good artists out there. Don't get me wrong, but like, you know, that can only take you so far. You know what I mean? If you can't find ways to develop your brand and to be heard, then you will be lost by the wayside. you know?
Absolutely. I was telling that to like my buddy the other day is that you could make the coolest fucking song, it fucking bumps and you're like, oh no, and you're showing all your friends and stuff. But if you don't market it right, if you don't push it as much as you're supposed to, you got to do that footwork after or legwork, whatever, after you make that song in order to really get it out there. Somebody could be sitting on the best song that was ever made and nobody would know about it if you didn't push it right.
Absolutely. That's those are wise words, and it's, that's something very very familiar in context from what I heard from my friend Sinister. I don't know if you know who that is.
I've seen
And
them around. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he's the same way, it's like it's one of those things. It's you bump your head against the wall, and it's a learning process, and it comes differently for each person. Some people like they do it for fun and like they don't care because like they have real jobs or whatever, or like they understand what it really is. You know what I mean? But
Yep.
like if this is something you really want to do and create, for yourself, it's you gotta build the playbook. you know
You gotta live by that life. I've had over 20 jobs since I was 18 because
Same.
yeah, I've kind of sucked at everything besides like making music. So I'm like doing something for a while and they're like, hey, you kind of suck at this. I'm like, yeah, I know. He's like, I'd rather be home making music right now.
That or we get
like,
bored
okay.
with it. We get
Yeah.
bored with shit. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
dude.
trying to pull those bucks, and then you're like, you know what? Nah, I'm kind of over this. I'm putting in my 2 weeks. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Start doing something random after that,
And
But
your statement earlier about how you were kind of radio silent because of your evolution based on your path and things that have happened, like let's say with drinking, right?
mhm.
That reminds me of the story of a very good friend of mine who I've had on the show, Bearded Legend. you know
Yes.
he's
Oh, I
he's
love.
he's
I
walked the
love
same
Legend.
he's walked that same path, and that was a really interesting talk we had as well, because like, and it's one of those things where if you're not balanced as a person, your art suffers. You know what I
Yep.
mean? What you create is a reflection of your subconscious. Period.
Absolutely.
Period.
100%.
And if you have skeletons in the closet, like, they're only going to hold you back.
Yep.
And like at the end of the day, like, we only live once. Like, YOLO's such a fucking overly like coin term, but for real, like, that is the truth. And like, the time that we have on the earth is precious to us, and the key is to really to enjoy it and like have the best quality of life. And correct me if I'm wrong, you are quite the connoisseur of energy drinks, I believe.
I'm I'm starting to get more into it. It's kind of hard to find the ones I want around here, but I love Red Bull more than any other drink in the world. And they just came out with the winter edition. It's pomegranate. It's fire. I
Oh
love it
yeah.
so much. Um, but yeah, I've been picking up the Ghosts and what was the other one? It's C4. It was like what was strawberry starburst flavored. I was like, this is insane. So it's I guess it's like replacing where I used to be like, oh, I love drinking all these beers and stuff like that, and now it's energy drinks, and I probably should cut back because I have too much caffeine in my blood at all times.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like, caffeine is far less, of a vice than other things are. I've had my bouts with drinking and drugs. I'm
Yeah.
30. It took me till I was really, just a couple years ago to like understand the value of it. Of like, damn, like, I'm fucking killing myself.
Yeah,
So no
seriously, man.
wonder I feel like shit all the time.
Yeah, I'd be sitting there making a beat, and I'm like, oh, this is sounding great. I'll take a break, and I'll grab like my bottle of Evan Williams and take like a huge slug out of it, and then freaking
Oh.
drink a beer, and I'm like, smoke a pack of cigarettes, and then the next thing I wake up and I feel like a dried out mummy, and I'm like, oh, what the hell am I doing with myself? But
So, yep. Yeah,
these days I feel so much better. It's great.
yeah. I don't know if you've tried it yet. Have you seen this guy yet?
I saw so there's an Instagram page called All Drinks Are Good. I love everything he posts because no matter what, he gives everything like a 10 out of 10. And,
Even if it's
and
ass.
yeah, exactly. He's like, this one's kind of crazy. He's like, but it's so amazing. I love it. 10 out of 10.
Dude,
but
that one's fantastic.
he posted that one.
You would think it would be awful. I don't know if you're familiar with like wassail, or like as wassail as we say in the South. It's like a hot apple cider. It tastes basically like a hot apple pie. Like,
Ooh,
it's pretty good.
that sounds delicious. I haven't had that before.
It's
But
to the people, I recommend you go try it.
that guy, and he posted it. He was eating Mexican while drinking that, and I bet that combo is probably really good. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's either really good. Like, I mean, I haven't had it before. What would you think?
I mean, I think it would be all right because, like, I don't know. Have you ever had like Manzanita Sol apple soda before?
I haven't.
Okay, so apple sodas are very common in, Latin cuisine.
Okay.
So, yeah, it'd probably be pretty good. I'm gonna put it over vanilla ice cream later and see how that goes. Like, ooh, fun.
Hell yeah. I've been doing a Dr. Pepper, or like not root beer floats, Dr. Pepper floats.
Oh man,
That shit's fucking sugar too. Sugar too. I'm bad with that too, but it's all right. It's all right. Anything's better these days than, doing bumps and drinking booze and stuff.
absolutely. And like, I mean, that's part of it. Like, I mean, you're formerly a hardcore metal artist.
Yep.
And like that's pretty common in that realm of things. I was there before. I was the drummer for years and years for technical death metal bands and things of the sort. So
yeah.
like I get it. And it's like,
Yep.
You're killing yourself, so you're gonna ease the pain.
I had a band in 2015. We had an absolutely awful band name. It was Dark Days. But all the homies I had in the band, we were all good friends. One of them I'm known for all my life. The other one's my cousin. He played drums and stuff, and we would just get it. But we would, oh my God, we would drink so much. I'd have like, I don't know, like a 12-pack worth of bottles on top of my amp head by the end of the night. And we're just sitting there playing like the slowest breakdown you could think of because we're just completely faded out of our minds.
That's how it goes.
Yep.
The more you drink, the slower it gets. So much going fast at that point.
And all of a sudden we just become a doom band because we're all just so fucking drunk and high all the time.
Sounds like the Southern American dream, like a sludge band,
Yeah.
Well, let's dig in a little bit.
Let's do it.
We've got quite a bit to talk about, juxtapose occult mentality. What's the deal, my guy?
So juxtapose occult was like just kind of a random idea I had about juxtaposition of sounds, combining a bunch of different stuff. Obviously, my main brand of music I like to make is funk, Memphis.
Oh yeah.
It's absolutely from the second I heard it, I knew, like, especially with the drum beats, because they're so similar with like hardcore and metal, that's what drew me to it. Yeah. And up here in the East Coast and the Northeast, like everybody's about boom bap. And I've never really cared for boom bap. I'd hear it and like, I had my fair share of conscientious rap that I listened to when I was younger. Like
we
MF,
all do.
Yeah. MF Doom's like, he's the reason why I wanted to start producing. I'm sure millions of people can say the same thing. But I started making, more of the Memphis and funk and stuff like that, probably around like 2017, 2018. And from there, I kind of just started realizing, obviously, how similar the drums are. I was like, well, I could start combining like, metal, like heavy guitars or drums and stuff. And like the first song I made like that was, what the hell's the name of it? I can't even remember. It's my top 9 circles. It's my top song on Spotify. And, I have the dun, 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 guitars come in and people were like, yo, what? Like heavy guitars and, funk? This is crazy. So
you were ahead of the curve,
I like to think so, I mean, like obviously I know that dudes like Ghostmane and stuff, they started really combining a lot of heavy stuff and industrial. And I guess it was like right around the same time, but I did it in my own way. I've always loved listening to other artists, but I try to stay like in a lane where if I create something, it's not because I was listening to that over and over and over again, and I try to make my own version of it. Otherwise, it's kind of too similar,
Yeah.
But I did the Disobedience EP in the tail end of 2018, and that's where I really first combined, mainly, programmed metal, hardcore drums, playing guitar, playing bass, screamed vocals with Memphis vocal chops and samples behind it and rapping and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is so crazy. I was so happy with it. And at the time, people were definitely like loving it. But I don't think that people were super ready to like appreciate that combination just yet.
Yeah.
I'd say within the past couple of years, there's definitely been this kind of explosion of people like not caring about genres like mashing,
Yeah.
Like, case in point, the most popular thing around like that came up like that was like Lil Nas with old like Country Road or whatever. It was country rap, like
Yeah.
I for sure heard it and I was like, this is something new. This is something different for sure. And then that shit blew the fuck up. Now he's like one of the biggest like, artists in the world right now, it's crazy. But yeah, juxtapose Occult. It's just, combining any styles that I can with, my main style that sound good and work and, keep it fresh, keep it new instead of just having the same beat over and over again,
Yeah, absolutely.
ADHD. That's why all my songs are 2 minutes long because I like to have so many different sounds, I'm like, spitting on the beat and the next song comes on. You're like, okay, this is something completely different. It's a good time.
That's why you can get away with 15 to 18 track projects, know, because one, like, if y'all didn't know, that's his signature, also they're just him. So he saves the features for the singles, and for where it counts. But when it comes to projects, obviously you take that old band mentality you have and, like you want to showcase yourself, with especially as a rapper, I'm sure you definitely don't produce everything for your projects yourself. I'm sure you definitely use other producers as well. But, that's definitely one of the things. And they hold their weight, like I've listened to your catalog,
Thanks, man. Thank you.
And you were talking about how the genre bends. See, with metal and rap, for so long, people were fighting it. They were fighting it. And then Gizmo came along and Sinister and Oni Inc. and, like a bunch of these other guys. And, tracks of yours, that are more recent would be, Firewalk would be definitely of that production style with Bearded Legend.
That song's actually from 2017.
Oh,
yeah. So, because I worked with Bearded Legend, it was like about 4, almost 5 years ago. And Firewalk was one of those songs. I just binge watched all of Twin Peaks, and I know that he's also a gigantic Twin Peaks fan. So I was like, dude, let's do something really cool. So it was like a whole Twin Peaks theme song with heavy guitars. But sorry to interrupt. Yeah, it's just an old song, but I still love it. Still a good one.
And then for the more recent would be the Necrosis track featuring the Man Coast from the Misery motherfucking Mob. Shout out Misery Mob. They're dope. Those are the
Hell
homies.
Yes. They're awesome. They're awesome people. And Coast is fucking awesome. He's such a good kid.
Yeah.
I've made a few really good connections with people like coming back into the scene, and him and I, it was just naturally, we were kind of just chatting through Instagram and then, started working on some stuff. He wants to get it. He wants to get his bread. And that's what I really appreciate him. And the more and more he started doing screaming and stuff. And I was like, you know what, dude, like, let me revive this, style of music that I was doing a few years ago. And we'll do a new track with that. And reception so far has been pretty good, but it's one of those things where I want to make more of it, but not too soon. I don't want to do too much of it at once. I should pick it up.
Everything comes in due time. You know what I mean? Because the moment you start focusing on something too intently and chasing towards it too hard is the moment it gets farther away from you, especially as an artist. Like, because at that point, then you start to cloud the mind with these expectations that necessarily can't be met if you force them. But if you just let them flow, this sounds terrible when I say this. When you have zero expectations, then you will surpass them. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Like, so yeah.
Those are words to live by for sure.
Words to live by. And I know that the album Tundra, has a very significant meaning to you, because that is where you had the moniker change,
Yep,
correct?
indeed.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a like it's a bit of a backstory to this one, because it was definitely like it's the biggest project, the most put together project that I've released this far. So in 2000, I won't make it this long old man tale. Um, so Slug and I, we became very good friends through SoundCloud. We were messaging each other back and forth and stuff. Then we added each other on other social media platforms, and we made some music together. And it was just like he was like, "How about you? Like, you should come to Greece. You should come and hang out." And I was like, "You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to. Why not?" And I'd only been like, so I was born in Florida,
Hmm. You're an
and
island boy.
island boy. No, they call
No.
it a those fucking guys that an island boy. They call them wash ashores here. So I'm a wash ashore up in Massachusetts, but
No.
I'd never really left this area. So I hopped on a fucking plane and I fucking flew to Europe. I get into Germany. They detain me because they thought I had a bomb on me. I'm jet lagged as hell. I'm like fucking out of my
Were
mind.
you
I
carrying a
make my
Polaroid camera?
No, I had a microphone on me,
Oh,
and I was in a case that could have looked like an explosive device. So I get detained by these dudes. I'm like, bro, I'm just chilling. I'm just this dude like going to Greece trying to make some music, and they're like, who the hell is this white boy coming through here? Anyways, so I get down to Greece, and I hung out with Slug for about a week, and we were listening to Memphis 6.6, like the channel, the entire time. Now I'd already been like, obviously for years I was doing Memphis chops and stuff like that, but it was more of like a new school way of twisting Memphis, and it was just like like these really saturated bass lines and almost combining like some like EDM elements to it and stuff, which now we have like drift funk and stuff like that's huge,
yeah.
which I love that stuff. But we were just sitting around for like the whole week, like making music and listening to that channel. And I got back and I was super inspired. And I sat down. I got laid off from my job for the entire winter. It was a restaurant, so they closed. And for about 2 to 3 months, I just sat there and I hammered away a bunch of songs. And the more and more that I was rapping and writing and stuff, I kept calling myself like Tundramane. I had a bunch of other like monikers that I'd say whatever, but that one stuck. And not for nothing, like I said, ice is over here. It was like 3 inches of ice across the ground for a solid month. It
It's the
was
motherfucking tundra.
it was motherfucking tundra, and I was like, I'm living in the middle of the goddamn winter. It was hitting temperatures of like negative 20 degrees outside. Like I was outside trying to smoke a cigarette, and I'd have icicles in my mustache, and I was living it. I was like, I'm Tundramane, dude. Like I live in the goddamn tundra, and I'm fucking making all this rap music and stuff. So by the time the project was wrapped up, I started making the name change,
It was time to
and
rebrand.
it was a good rebrand. It was a good time to rebrand, and I'm happy about it because Heavy Sins was a cool name, but that was kind of an angstier time where it's like
Yeah.
a lot of heavy stuff hanging on me. I shut all that off. It's all gone now.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. That's part of it. Evolution every day,
Yep.
I preach the concept. What can you do today to make tomorrow a little bit easier?
Yes,
Like why not? Like why latch on to things that are behind you? You know what I mean?
that's a good one. I like.
If I were to latch on to the artist I was 5 or 6 years ago, like still, I'd be like, God, I'm such a kid still.
I agree 100%. Same here.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's so common, I mean, like, look at 2 Chainz. His original moniker was Titty Boy. He would have never been shit if he kept the name Titty Boy, like, and he realized, all right, it's time to not be a kid anymore. I've graduated from Harvard, I'm gonna be a
Yeah.
rapper. Like, the fuck kind of matrix simulation are we living in right now?
Yeah. Right. I would actually like to see the version of the timeline where he was still Titty Boy. That'd be kind of sick.
Atlanta crunk days, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, and there's a very interesting piece of your catalog that I gotta know about. because it's rare that it happened, because it's a very select feature. And I know you already know where I'm going with this. Shinobi featuring the one and only Schema God himself. How did that come to play? Because that man is very elusive and reclusive.
Yeah, I'm not really sure myself. So I'll boil it down to this. It was back in the day where, like I said, like a lot of messaging, a lot of like collaboration was kind of done through SoundCloud messaging, which, by the way, SoundCloud messaging sucks. If you ever try to message me there, do not, because I can only look at it from my desktop. It's incredibly stupid. I messaged Jay Green through there, and I was like, shot in the dark, how much do you charge for features, And a little bit of time went by, and he messaged me back, and he told me his price, and I was like, oh, cool, okay, like, yeah, I'm down for that. And I can't even remember how long it kind of took for everything to get the ball rolling. Probably like a month or two or whatever. But he kept in touch, and we started messaging back and forth a little bit on Instagram to get a hold of that. And he called me on the phone a couple times, which was pretty cool. Like, we were shooting the shit. And then he sent it over, and it was a cool ass fucking song. And I'm glad I got a hold of him, because like I won't throw at any names. So I'm not going to do that, but I definitely have been burned in the past. Starting off, and like I hit up some select people, and they were cool about it, and I sent them money, and then they were just ghosted. And I was like, okay, I get it, So it's kind of a risky game to play in that aspect. And, I definitely took that gamble, because I don't know the man personally, but he delivered. So I'd say that Jay Green is a fucking cool dude, and I'm still really stoked on that song.
Oh yeah, it's a hidden gem. If y'all don't know, you're finna know. But
hell yeah,
I mean, in my experiences with the man, he's a great person. He doesn't do things he's not interested in. You know what I mean? So like, to have been able to have had that opportunity, like, speaks volumes to the quality of what you do. So
thanks, man.
we gotta give people their flowers, man. Because that's not an easy feat. Like, no. I mean, period. Like, I mean, shit, like, when you deal with people who've been around as long as like him, that have been around that long, and like, dude, you couldn't imagine, he probably gets like thousands of DMs a week and shit. So like,
that's exactly what I expected, And,
yeah. And it's one of those things where, you're doing something right if you stick out enough to make it work. So
absolutely. So, that beat was really cool too. I sampled like Shinobi from the NES and stuff for that song, so it was a cool one.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. So what, now I gotta know, you've got a hell of a catalog of people you've worked with. You've worked with Evil Mane, Baker Your Maker, Bearded Legend. I mean, you've worked with quite a few. Who are a few people you are excited to work with in the future that you have not worked with yet?
That's a good question. I'd say, like, if I was going to do like a tier list real quick of like, like tippity top for me is if I was to be able to work or even get like a verse from either Tommy Wright, of course, naturally. Lil Ugly Mane is a huge inspiration of mine. I know that man he has his finger, like the single fingertip in every single different project. He'll be uploading rap one day, and the next day he's uploading a black metal EP. The dude's a legend. That would be like a tippity top for me, really. Mid-level, I don't know. It's I guess it's kind of hard to say. Just in the general form where like I find people, and I start to like really like mesh with their ideas in the way that they deal with their day to day, their general vibe, their music and stuff. And that's how I get more attached to them and want it. It's the same way that, a fan would connect to an artist.
And it's also how they would work with your style and your content style as well. Right.
Exactly. Like somebody that I've really been meshing with recently, and he's an awesome guy, is Cryptic. And him and I have a new song coming out with him this upcoming Friday. It's the 15th, I believe. Moon Presence. He's in his production is a lot on the same level of where my mindset is these days. He's very experimental, and he combines that with funk, and it's such a fucking cool vibe. I guess without saying, I remember like 2018, 2019, I really wanted to work with Freddie Dredd really bad. I still
Oh
do like
yeah.
him a lot. Of course, he's kind of like the one guy, and like how everybody kind of started off around the same time. He was obviously part of Doom Shop, and I kind of watched him just go like, and then just take off to the top, and you know, trying to get like a feature from him these days. Obviously, like I'm gonna have to wait a while, but I would still like to work with him eventually, whenever the hell that could happen.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I would like to see you work on some production from Jake OHM.
I actually, without saying too much, I just finished up some recording with for a beat from him. So
Oh,
we,
sweet.
we, we definitely have something coming up soon.
You mentioned the drift funk, so like, that was definitely one I had in mind.
Hell yeah. No, his production's super nice. And he reached out to me and I was fucking stoked on it because it's weird. It's like I almost think about like, oh man, I should hit up this person. And then they hit me up and I'm like, what the hell's going on? It's just like, is this like
Manifest.
manifest into reality, man,
As we speak, we create.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I
That's
would honestly like to see you feature with or get features from DJV Siren. I think that would be cool. Or Cold Blooded. I think that would be an excellent tier. You definitely can step into the ring.
I've heard of Cold Blooded. I know he's part of Schema Posse. DJV Siren. I'm not sure if
Same.
I've heard of them. I'll have to
He
check them out.
he's a schema as well, and he just did
Oh,
a
okay.
project with Jake OHM. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, and I mean there's plenty of them out there. You do well with Sempra as well, I think too. So you know.
I was talking to Stemper a little bit about doing a track together. I mean, the guy's definitely busy as hell. I'm watching him climb pretty fast, which is fucking super cool. But yeah, I don't want to
Yeah.
I don't want to bother anybody. That's the thing. Like, and I
If
know
it
that like
happens, it happens.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
like if somebody is like thinks back and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember that. Like, let's do that for sure. I don't want to be that person who's like, hey, remember me? It's like because it comes down to it, boils down to it. I've only worked, and we were talking about this a little while. Is that like I have used beats from other producers, but it's slim. There's not too many of them. Like I do get sent a lot of beats, which I appreciate it. I love when people send me beats. I do listen to them. It's just that because I've been producing for as long as I've been rapping, I'm very, very like the way that I write. It usually meshes very well with the way I produce. Like almost as if I'm imagining what I'm going to be rapping on a beat while I'm making that beat. So everything is very like meshed together.
Yeah.
So it's a very selective process. It's very like an intimate process.
You're in that rare percent of people who like primarily raps on beats they produce on, because I know a fuck ton of people who are the opposite. It's like, oh, they love making beats, but they can't rap on their own shit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
It was tough to get through, dude. It was tough to get through. In my first few years of doing it, they sucked so bad. But I never released any of them. I had a lot of music that the world will never hear for very good reason because it was very bad. But
yeah, but
it was all the training process.
it exactly got to hit the dojo.
Yep,
Yes,
exactly.
sir.
I started off wanting to sound like Bones because in 2013, I had a buddy come over and he was like, "Yo, you ever heard of Bones?" And I was like, "No." And he put on, I have a BMX bike, but I'm not very good. Like the music video of him and Xavier Wolf like riding around their BMX bikes. And I watched the whole thing and I was like, that's the coolest fucking thing I've ever heard. I was like, this is so cool. Like I never heard that brand of rap before. And then I started
Bones changed the world.
He did. He absolutely changed it, man. I mean, like, I saw like this TikTok the other day about this guy just talking about how SGP was really like the grandfather of like internet rap, and he definitely was. And then dudes, like Lil Ugly Mane, he popped up. I think they actually.
You mean Space Ghost Perp?
Yeah, Space Ghost Perp and Lil Ugly Mane. I think they both released like a couple of their big albums, like Mr. Thug Isolation, around the same year, I think it was. But
You're forgetting the true grandfather though. Lil
on
B, the bass god.
Lil B. It wasn't SGP. It was Lil B. That's who it was. Thank you, Mr. Base God. Find feet pics from all the girls and stuff.
Hey man, hey, he'll probably ask both of us for feet pics eventually. So
I'll be like, hey, what's your weirdest collaboration? I sent feet pics to Lil B. He started the whole based, rare, raw, like all that shit. Yeah, my bad. He was the grandfather. He was the OG with internet rap. Then the other guys push a little further, and then Bones really, like, I don't know, he made it marketable, you know?
Yeah. I think the thing with Bones, which has made him so magical, is he just doesn't give a fuck. Like, he just does what he does, and like he's never been one to like care. You know what I mean? He just like,
It's
I'm
awesome.
doing it. Like, we're doing it, guys. Like,
he'd put out a record and, like, you know, one song he'd be screaming over beats, the next song he's like, you know, rapping over, like, you know, or singing over like an emo song, and I'm like, this is fucking cool. And every sound that he made was awesome. And yeah, he just didn't care. And if people said anything, he didn't pay any mind, because he was creating what he wanted to. And that's the general base of it. You know, I mean, I've had some people say like, what the fuck is this? This is whack. You know, every single one of us have. And I don't give energy to it. It's like, it is what it is. Like, you like it or you don't. That's cool. Plenty of music I don't like. I'm not going to attack people for it, you know?
Yeah, no. And that's the thing. It's okay to like what you like. Like, that's why it's there. Like, you know,
exactly.
But like, I mean, like me, we come from the background we do, where it's an elitist zone, and it's like, God damn it, like, you know, you're not hardcore if you don't like Power Trip and Knock Loose. You know,
oh yeah, man. Growing up around like the Boston hardcore scene, you know, it was like I never really got too involved with like the dudes who ran that shit, but it was cutthroat. It was huge. You know, it was like, you're either in or you're out, you know?
Yeah. It's a clique, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude. They're like the Hells Angels of the music world, you know?
there was FSU in Boston. They had like what was it called? Boston Beatdown. Fucking I don't think I've ever actually watched the full thing. I think it was pretty much like just like a bunch of compilations of, you know, fucking pits and people getting beat up and shit.
Yeah. Speaking of Boston, educate me a little bit. So obviously Berklee College of Music is there, you know, and you know, I feel like it's definitely a musically cultured city, you know.
So it's interesting, at least like what kind of comes out of this area. Like I don't live in Boston. I live in Massachusetts. I don't really want to say where I live, but it is about like an hour outside of Boston. It's a really, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say, because I kind of touched a little bit on it, where it's like boom bap and stuff is definitely like the most loved rap style, of course, up here.
And like Beast Coast, you know, like, you know, Beast Coast, like Flatbush Zombies, Underachievers, that kind of shit.
Yep. Like, I guess, like, you know, going back to it and looking at it, there'd only been like a few, like out of like the big underground guys that have gotten big, like Suicide Boys and Ghost Main.
The Suicide Brothers and Ghost Dudes.
They've come up here. They've come and played shows.
Oh yeah.
But they're not. There's a lot of people there, but they're not packed. Not like when I see, like, you know, where they'd be somewhere else in the United States. I always have a joke where this, you know, the East Coast is 10 years behind everywhere else.
Oh yeah.
And what's cool right now in the rest of the United States, like 5-10 years from now, people will be like, yo, have you heard this guy? And it's like, dude, this album came out 8 years ago. You know, it's kind of outdated, you know, but then Boston's also very, you know, pretty expensive to live there, like around this, you know, less than New York City, but still pretty expensive. Other than that, like, I go into Boston, like when I was going to like metal and hardcore shows a lot, pretty much just for that. And then I'd head back out. I've kind of been like a pretty introverted person.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way, you know, like I live, you know, 30 minutes from a major city for a reason, you know what I mean? Like, because it's like I go in, you know, to go to the doctor or go to shows, or like, that's about it, you know? And like, and other than that, like I live on my mountaintop, you know?
Dude, and that's the coolest shit, man, to me, is that you have the accessibility to go to the city when you want to have that and take that all in. But then you can just get the hell out, you know? I mean, I look at it and like, could I live in a city? Like, probably not. It's like a concrete jungle, people living on top of each other. My brain would be like, freaking out. but
I,
I obviously enjoy it, but not
oh
living
yeah.
there.
I spent 28 years of my 30 years of life in Texas, and I lived in the DFW Metroplex for about 5 years, and that was literally enough to drive a man crazy. So,
Metroplex. That sounds like it's like a gigantic apartment building.
so it's basically nothing but a concrete jungle from Dallas to Fort Worth, which is
Oh dang.
like, yeah, and it's the largest metroplex in the world. So like,
Okay.
just big cities, there's all kinds of shit there. But like, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. But it's like where I live now. It's like I'm three hours from Atlanta, so like I'll go down there, once a month. It's ritual in a sense because like I like to go and spend a weekend and explore.
Yeah.
If I work all the time, I'm gonna enjoy my time.
Oh
Now
yeah.
Atlanta
Absolutely.
is 6 months ahead of the curve,
Yeah.
on everything. Like almost everything that's ever popped has come from the South. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like whether it's Tennessee, Atlanta, Texas, like, I mean, that's just what it is,
I
and
agree.
like, like it's interesting that, but like you said, where you're at, it's very old head, like East Coast boom bappy rap. So like, it's kind of very niche acquired taste there, and they don't like anything else, like the general populace.
If there's one like similarity you could draw between like the metal scene and like the old heads like with boom bap and stuff is they are gatekeepers.
Oh yeah, the
They're
gatekeepers.
like nah, I don't like this at all. Um, but like me being from Florida, I moved up here when I was like pretty young, but I still have a lot of fond memories. I was born in Broward County, which is 954. It's where dudes like Denzel Curry and stuff are from.
Oh
And
yeah.
when I started getting really heavily into underground rap, I really connected with the dudes who had come out of Florida,
Oh yeah.
and primarily being Denzel Curry or Ghostman. I was like, dude, these guys came from Florida too. Like, that's so cool. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
Puya
mean,
as well.
yep,
Like
yep, Puya. Like the South has just always been, I don't know, has the best rap, has the best fucking rap, hands down.
it's got to be something in the water, right?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. There's something going on down there. If I was still down in Florida, I'd be the craziest motherfucker. Probably a good thing I moved up here.
Dude, Florida, man. Like, it's like I just feel like it's this weird enigmatic place, where it's like there's just wild shit going down all the time. Like
It's
whether it's, people getting eaten by crocodiles in the fucking Everglades or, crazy hood rat shit all over the place.
or like naked dudes on bath salts eating people's faces and shit.
Exactly.
All the
Florida,
Florida Man
man.
articles. Yeah, Florida Man. Like Florida Man's like naked on the roof with a machine gun. You're like, that's Florida. That's
That's that's a Monday. Like,
Yep. It's just a Monday. Wait till Friday, man. Shit gets real crazy.
Oh yeah, that's how they do it, man. Well, you got any shows or anything planned in the future?
No, I
No.
wish, but at the moment, I gotta. So this is like kind of the plan right now is release a ton of music. I'm trying to make a lot of songs that make a lot of sense to like play live.
Yeah, you have a good collection to choose from.
Yeah, especially like a big backlog from the past years and stuff. But I want to find, and I had this thought the other day. I want to find a group of people that would be like minded in trying to kind of share, I guess, like the cost of what it would be to do it like a tour, even if it was just 3 or 4 dates, like
Yeah,
fly down to the south, like Texas or out California or whatever, and just do a few shows, see how it goes.
yeah,
But as of right now, I'm still kind of trying to rebuild that following and make sure that if I do a live show, that it's going to be worth it for everybody, especially because I'd be flying all the way out from here to wherever.
oh yeah,
But it's definitely on my mind. I definitely want to do it. At the moment, the work I'm going to be doing, because like I have been in between work and stuff, I'm going to be doing some carpentry. So it's going to be cool, but it's going to be a little more lax, and there's going to be more room for me to be able to create. And hopefully, within the next couple of years, that can be my main focus. And
yeah.
I'm completely set on it. It's what I want. I'm glad it's happening now with the way that I have my mindset instead of when I was younger, because I wouldn't have been able to handle it when I was a little bit younger.
Oh yeah,
Now, after going through stuff and kind of realizing stuff and maturing, I'm like, nope, this is it, 100%. You know, I'm locked into it.
That, and when you realize you break the barrier, like that money isn't everything. You know, that's
Yes,
also, you know, like quality of life will always weigh more than the dollar, period.
absolutely.
You know,
That
like,
was one of the hardest things for me to get used to and to understand. I was always so scared with my money, and you know, I have a good chunk of money that I'm sitting on, and I'm kind of just enjoying myself right now,
yeah,
and it's the best I've felt in a long time. Because yeah, money isn't everything.
exactly. Exactly. Well, Tundramane, it has been a pleasure, my guy.
Oh shit,
What
we've
are
been
the
talking for 50 minutes. Oh damn.
what are the handles for the people who may not be familiar with you to keep up with what you were doing?
There is Tundramane with an like underscore at the end because somebody already stole my name on Instagram. That was years ago.
So y'all go out there and haggle that motherfucker and tell him, give him the goddamn handle.
I've reported them a couple times, but they haven't done anything about it. I knew they wouldn't. Then I have TikTok. I've been having some fun on there. I had one blow up, which is actually kind of funny. That is Tundra Raps. Let's see what else is there. I have Twitter. I don't really use it too much. It's kind of fun. Pretty much just like pictures of bodega cats on there. And
Dude,
then
Twitter is one thing and one thing only. The
yes,
search engine for the most vile, dumb shit you'll ever find in your life.
that in the Snapchat stories or like the news, the Snapchat news, and it's like this midget hooked up with a hot mom, and you're like, who reads this shit? It's insane. What else though?
Tabloids.
Tabloids, exactly. What else is there? What other social media? Pretty much, I just really run Instagram a lot. That's my favorite one. It's so easy to use and stay in touch with people.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, Spotify, SoundCloud, all the music platforms, which I have a link tree on my Instagram, so it just leads you to anywhere that I am, you'll find me there.
Yep, absolutely. And the bonus question of the day. What anime have you been watching lately?
The last anime that I watched was with my girlfriend. We were watching Jujutsu Kaisen.
Sweet.
That shit is awesome. I love that a
Yeah.
lot.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
Otherwise, like I got to catch up on Doctor Stone. That's another one of my favorite ones for recent anime.
Dude, I've been seeing people get these really crazy face tattoos, like of the stone, like cracking, like on that he has, and it's
Yeah,
like super sick, honestly. Like,
that's pretty. That's actually pretty fucking hard. I mean, I have one like face tattoo, and it's a
mhm.
fucking chain on my forehead. But I commend the people who commit to like a full on face tattoo, like especially
Oh
something
yeah,
from an anime. Like that's fucking. It's hard
it's
as fuck.
hard.
It's
It's
fucking
hard.
hard, dude. It's hard.
Hell yeah, my guy. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, dude. You're the first person to ever interview me.
Hell yeah. When we'll definitely have you back on very soon.
Fuck yeah. Sounds good, man. Thank you so much.
Hell yeah.